Hi, brothers and sisters. This is Bobby Quitain, and welcome to Pathways of Hope. Today, we continue to reflect on the 8th chapter of the Gospel of John. And here in this Gospel, we see Jesus referring to himself as I am. He said, "Before Abraham was, I am." Now, during the time of the Jews, during the time of Jesus, the Israelites understood perfectly what Jesus meant. For us today, the phrase I am may not ring a bell, but during their time, if somebody says I am, then that immediately reminds them of the incident in the Old Testament when Moses was speaking to the burning bush, and he asked, "Who are you, Lord? What name should I give to the Egyptians when you tell me when I go to them?" And God said to him, "I am. I am." Jesus here, in a way, was referring to that incident when he said, "I am." In a sense, Jesus was identifying himself with the God of the Old Testament. Alam naman natin that in the Gospel, Jesus referred to himself many times as being one with the Father. So it's not a surprise to us now for us to hear Jesus use the very words that God used in the Old Testament to identify to himself. I am. I am. Now, in this context now, knowing that Jesus is saying that, hey, even before Abraham was, I am, meaning to say, I am the God of the Old Testament. I have been there from the very beginning. And Jesus was saying that, in effect, he was saying, I am God. So what is that to us? What does that mean to us? Well, if you go to the first reading in today's liturgy, you'll see there that Abraham was promised by God at the time that he will be their God and they will be his people. And this promise of God the Father is fulfilled in Jesus in the New Testament. Why? Because when God the Father promised that he will be their God and they will be their people, it's a promise that he will take care of them. No matter what happens, he will be faithful to them and he will take care of them. Now when Jesus says, I am the God who promised Abraham in the Old Testament, I am the same God who promised him that I am their God and you will be my people, I am fulfilling it now because my coming here today is my way of fulfilling the promise I made to Abraham, that I will take care of my people. I will take care of them in the midst of their sin. My coming today is my fulfillment of that promise, that I am here now to take care of your sins, to take care of my people. What is that to us? Well, for us today, it reminds us that we have a promise-keeping God. We have a God whose faithfulness to his covenant with his people remains until today. So despite everything that's happening in our lives, including this pandemic that we're in right now, always believe, brothers and sisters, always believe, my friend, that the God whom you have is a promise-keeping God. And if he promised to Abraham in the Old Testament that he will take care of us, and he is the same God who tells us today that I am taking care of you, I will take care of you, this should give us so much comfort and so much peace in our hearts. We do not serve a flimsy God. We do not serve a flip-flopping God. We serve a promise-keeping God. And his promise to us is this: you are my people and I will be your God. And attached to that promise is the promise that he will take care of his people. So be courageous, be at peace. God is promise-keeping and he will keep his promise. God bless you.